Hello, everybody. We're going to give a couple minutes for everybody to join. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for joining, whoever's already on. Give us a couple minutes. We want to have hope everyone's doing well during these crazy times. We in our Law Lingo series of events where we discuss with different legal topics. We wanted to do something related to businesses this time, especially given the fact that everybody's been going through a lot, especially the businesses that have been forced to close. And basically, our firm, one of our practice areas in our firm is business law, both transactional and litigation. So throughout the years and throughout this past year, we've been seeing a lot of issues that have transpired in businesses. Some good, but some very, very bad things that have been happening because of the COVID situation. So we wanted to do something where we wanted to give our audience, our followers, our clients, our friends some advice and some legal issues to consider when it comes to businesses. So we decided to do this event to talk about different business entities, to talk about business maintenance. A lot of people don't appreciate how important it is to properly maintain the business on a yearly basis, and some protection issues, including insurance and overall COVID. The COVID problem that businesses are facing today. Today, I'm Harout Keosian from Keosian Law. With us is Melkonian, also from our firm, and Eileen Keusseyan, also from our firm. We handle different areas of business for our clients. Melkon and I started the firm back in 2009. We've been together since then. Eileen, we've known Eileen for many years. She's been practicing transactional transactional and litigation cases, as well as bankruptcy law for a significant amount of time as well. And we wanted to get on and kind of give some input and insight on business situations that are happening today, and why it's important for you to have certain kind of entities versus others, and to have the right formation so that you don't face any problems while running your business. So I want to start off with Eileen, and also, by the way, we're gonna take some questions towards the end of the presentation. So whoever has any questions, specific questions, or otherwise, that you want to ask, you can please comment on our comment down below, and we will address them after we're done. This is something that we want to try to help as much as we can. So whoever has any kind of specific questions, if you don't feel comfortable asking it here on Facebook, you can always give us a call at our office, and we will be happy to answer any of your questions. So without any further delays, Eileen, I want to kind of have you, let's start talking a little bit about business entities, the different kinds of entities, and what what's pros and cons of the different kinds of businesses that exist.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Harout. Hello, everyone. So having your business organized and the way you're going to have it organized is really the single most important choice that one can make, because it determines what your tax liabilities are and what your personal legal liabilities are. There are 4 main types of organizations. So the first type is what we all know to be a single person operated business, which is a sole proprietorship. There are no formal requirements for a sole proprietorship. What you do is you get your business license, you file a DBA, which is like a doing a business as statement if you have a particular name. And in fact, you don't even have to file that. And you move forward. All the profits, all the control of the business belong to you. Do I advise you to adopt that form of business? Absolutely not, for one simple reason. Anything that goes wrong with your business, you maintain personal liability, and all of your personal assets are out there for your creditors and whoever there may be to grab. The second type of business entity is a partnership. You can have a general partnership or a limited partnership. A general partnership is really 2 individuals, 2 sole proprietors getting together, funding their resources together to go ahead and form a general partnership. You don't need a written agreement or anything, but again, each one of you in a general partnership is personally liable. Why do this? Why do people form general partnerships? Simply because they want to pool their resources together and have a larger, bigger business. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. Again, liability rests with your individual self rather than just the business assets. Of course, you can always have a limited partnership. A limited partnership has a general partner. Again, the general partner has full liability. Along with limited partners. The limited partners are usually investors who want to put money into the business and not be active. So their liability for any business debt or liabilities are restricted to the amount of their investment. Again, though, even in a limited partnership, whoever is running the day-to-day business, conducting the business, is still personally liable with all of their personal assets. So unless you've got some sort of very special investors who only want to engage in a partnership, I don't recommend that you do a limited partnership either. Having said all of that, the 2 most common business organizations that you should have for your venture is either a corporation or a limited liability company, more known as the LLC. Let's talk about corporations. So corporations, it is a separate legal entity. What does that mean? You have to think of the corporation as a separate person. It is not you, it is the second individual that is engaging in business. The best thing about a corporation is that anything that goes wrong with the business remains with the assets of the business. Your personal home, your personal cars, your investments, your bank accounts, whatever is personal to you, under most circumstances, of course, there are always exceptions, are not going to be liable for any of the business debts, obligations, whether that's a lawsuit, whether that's money owed to a vendor, a loan, or whatever the case may be. A corporation has been around, corporations, that entity, that type of entity has been around a very long time. And over the years, what developed out of a corporation is a hybrid. And that is a limited liability company, which is your 4th type of organizational structure that you can have for your business. An LLC combines the advantages of a partnership, which is the taxation. At the corporate level, you're going to get double taxation. Whatever money the corporation makes is going to be taxed. And then whatever money the shareholders, the owners of the corporation get, they're going to be taxed. Unless, of course, you adopt a certain tax type of a corporation, which is an S corporation. That has its limitations too. And a corporation has a lot of formalities. You have to keep minutes. You have to file certain statements on a regular basis, and there you have to have board members. You have to have executives. It's just a lot of work involved with a corporation. But I have to say, in a lot of business transactions, a corporation, because it's more formal, and banks or investment companies prefer a corporation to an LLC. An LLC, it's a hybrid, but it's a really, really nice entity to have because you don't have to worry about double taxation at the corporate level. So everything passes through and is taxed over to the owners, which are the members of the LLC. But at the same time, you get the best protection, which is the same protection that a corporation would give you. So your personal assets, whether it's a home, a car, an investment portfolio, or whatever it may be, will never be responsible. Let me not say never. Will usually not be responsible for any corporate debts or obligations because an LLC, similar to a corporation, is a separate entity from the individual. There are a lot of nuances, and I know that there may be questions about there. There are certain restrictions for foreign individuals, whether they can be part of an LLC or a corporation. For example, if you're looking to invest in the United States, but you are neither a citizen nor a green card holder, you cannot be a part of an S corporation, but you can be a member or an owner of an LLC. So there are a lot of little intricacies, and if you have questions, please, send it to us, and I'd be more than happy to answer them at the end of this presentation.
I think, Eileen, it is our in our industry, the exceptions and exclusions is always more than the actual rules and regulations. We'll be getting to that, especially in the insurance arena. But nothing is, generally speaking, nothing is absolute in the law. So we always have different situations that arise, and over the years, the rules and case law and different things have developed. So there's always exceptions to everything, and every person's situation is unique. Everyone has a unique business. Everyone has a unique personal background, like Eileen was mentioning, assets, homes, cars, other investments, stock portfolio, for whatever you have. So, choosing the right business entity is a very subjective thing. So it's very individualized. So you need to get the right advice, and you need to get it's just not, okay, let me form a corporation and open up a business. Yeah, you could do that, but it's generally, it'll get you into a lot of trouble. Shifting gear.
Happens a lot of the time there also, Harout, just to, I don't mean to interrupt, but people form corporations on their own, and they think that it's okay to just go ahead and move forward. And then they come to us a few years down the line, and none of the formalities have been observed. And they're either being audited or they're being sued, and they're wondering why they have personal liability. Right. It's very important to choose the proper structure for your business at the beginning, at the very, very beginning, and make sure you maintain it through representation.
Right. And that's what I wanted to shift to Melkon, to kind of talk about maintaining the corporate entity or any business entity, and maintaining records. This is the one. I mean, it's critical. Forming these entities is the like Eileen said, only the start, only the beginning. In order for everyone to get the maximum use out of these entities, you have to properly maintain records and maintain the entities. So with that being said, Melkon, let's give some insight about how people should be doing that.
Sure. Thank you, Harout. Thanks, Eileen. Hello, everyone. When we were first discussing what kind of webinar to do today, we decided to do this business health check webinar to give you some ideas about how to better protect your business, how to better grow your business, especially in this environment, in this COVID environment, when a lot of businesses are facing hardship and they don't know if they're going to stay in business or not. It becomes critical for you to cross all T's, dot all I's to make sure that you're fully protected legally, as well as operate efficiently. So you can be as productive as you can be as lean as you can be, and grow your business even during these times. So like Eileen and Harout mentioned, corporate documents are a critical part of this. They essentially are the legal backbone of your business. In case anything happens, that's what you're going to depend on. Often, when you're involved in any type of litigation, any type of lawsuit, any type of claim that you put with your insurance company, what you have to depend on and what you fall back on is your documentation. How do you prove you have the business? How do you prove you own the business? Everything from the documents or the documents that form your corporation that Eileen discussed, to your lease agreement, to any type of contract that you ended up signing for your business fixtures, your assets, anything. At the end of the day, it all falls down to what documentation you have. How can you prove the existence of these things, and how can you prove that these things are legally yours and should be protected? There are essentially three general categories of business documents that any business should have and should organize themselves in. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you are. You could be a small, mom and pop restaurant or store, to being a company that imports and exports products at millions of dollars a year. So it doesn't matter what you do. These parts of documents are essential for your business. The corporate formalities, or the records that show your corporation, are one. So what is this? When Eileen talked about this already, when you form your corporation or your business entity, regardless of which one it is, there are certain things certain documents that are required to come with it. They are your articles of incorporation. Which basically lays out your use, your name, and who you are and what you're doing, to your bylaws, which lay out your rules and regulations and how you plan to operate, to even having an operating agreement in place. And this is when you have multiple people, multiple officers and partners that are going to work together. What rules govern that relationship? A lot of times we start businesses with friends and family without putting anything on paper, and we think things are going to be okay. Well, if you don't have any type of operating agreement in place, and if something goes wrong and now things, people can get litigious and try to sue each other, how do you determine who's responsible for what if you don't have anything documented? That's a problem. That's a pitfall you can fall into. So maintaining the proper corporate formalities and those records become essential. A lot of times your attorney can help you with that. Our office can certainly help you with that. Your accountant, if they're a professional accounting firm that handle businesses, they'll know how to help you put these things together. Another part of these corporate formalities or these records are the minutes you maintain. So the first three documents I mentioned, you set those at the start. Minutes, technically, you're supposed to have annual meetings. Even if you're a couple of people, you have to maintain some kind of minutes on a yearly basis that show how the business is operating, who's making what decisions, especially if they're major decisions about the business. Often these kinds of things come up when either you're getting sued or you're suing someone or you're getting audited. And those are the last minute documents that your attorney or your accountant will try to put together for you. But honestly, they're so simple to do on an annual basis. If you just calendar it for yourself, if you put down a date somewhere on an annual basis, you say, all right, on February 1st of every year, I'm going to sit together with my partners, or even if it's just you in the company, write out one page of minutes. This is the decision making. This is what we decided for this year, and file it away. That's all you need to do. Okay. Again, these are things that your attorney or accountant can help you with. So that's one type. The other type of business records that you need to maintain are your operational records. Now, these are more general in nature. Depending on the type of business you have, these can be things like the way you maintain your inventory, the way you maintain your data, anything that you need to operate properly. They could also include your employee handbooks, your insurance policies, any legal record that you need to sustain a successful, efficient, and productive business. You should have all of those in order. And on an annual basis, just this past year, a bunch of laws changed that require different things for your businesses depending on your size. I'm not going to go into all the different permutations now, but you should definitely, if you have 10 employees, you may have certain requirements. If you have 20, it's different. And then if you go into 50, 100 employees, that could completely change. Everything from the way you handle your payroll, to your vacation hours, sick time, to sexual harassment seminar requirements, and the employee handbook requirements. All of those things you have to maintain. And again, at the end of the day, for us, all of these are legal documents. They're all designed, if they're maintained properly, to protect your business. Okay, so the operational is the second one. The third one, and it's the one that most people are most concerned with, but often they are also neglected, and those are your financial records. Okay, what does that include? That includes everything financial about your business: your profit and loss statements, your balance sheets, your proper tax returns. Having these types of documentations and having them done right can protect your business. A lot of businesses operate with cash. Sometimes that cash, and no one knows who you are here, so I'll speak openly. If you get the cash in and you put it aside and you say, "Oh, I'm not going to report it because I don't want to pay taxes on it," that's all great for you now. But if something does happen to your business and you need to show a successful business, an income generating business, if you haven't documented it anywhere, meaning there were no bank deposits that you kept, they're not on your balance sheet, they're not on your profit and loss statement, and they're definitely not on your taxes. If something bad happens to your business, you go to your insurance company, knock on their door and file a claim, they're going to say, "All right, you want me to pay you for your lost profits. Show me the records." And you're not going to be able to do that. So short term, maybe operating by cash, putting some aside for certain types of businesses may work for you. But in the long run, if you're planning to grow your business and become a successful, efficient, productive business, that's a bad way of doing things. So having these records kept properly, maintained properly, and definitely don't wait until it's the end of the year to file taxes, to call your accountant. Once in a while, throughout the year, contact your accountant, your CPA, talk to your attorney on a bi-monthly basis, and just pick their brain and say, "This is what I'm planning to do. This is what I want to do with my business. Am I doing this correctly?" You may be the best restaurant, the best chef. You may be the best designer, the best architect. You may be the best contractor that can build palaces. But we all need the experts. I'm an attorney. If my arm hurts, I'm not going to give myself advice on my arm. I'm going to go to the specialist. I'm going to go to the doctor that's going to help me with my arm. So that's what we're here to do for you. Like Harout said before, there is no one answer to everything. Every business is unique. Every corporation is unique. Every culture is unique, the business culture that you may have. And these things need to be tailor-made for you to operate properly. And having the right people on your side definitely helps to grow your business and become successful.
Right. Thank you, Miko. And here's like I said earlier about our firm doing these kind of business, transactional, and litigation matters. Obviously, everybody knows that we also handle insurance claims, property damage claims. So in doing so, and especially over the last year with the COVID cases, we currently represent several hundred businesses for their COVID insurance claims. We've seen so many of these problems come up. First, from what Eileen was talking about, structurally speaking, and second, what Melkon was talking about, organizational documents and proper maintenance. We have clients and we ask them, okay, why, you're running, I don't know, let's hypothetically speaking, you're running a cleaners. Why did you form an LLC? Well, my friend told me. Or you're running a restaurant and you do a sole proprietorship. And why did you do this? Well, my accountant said it doesn't matter. Well, like Miko said, you have to go to the right expert, the right professional to advise you, in the right course. There's so many problems with formation and maintenance issues that we've been seeing, and we wanted to call this. Your health check is to basically to get you to realize, to check the status and check the health of your business. It's never too late. Obviously, the sooner the better. The sooner you do it, the less work it is for the professional, the attorney, or your CPA, whoever's going to help you. But you have to do this. This is very, very important. Otherwise, having a corporate entity or having an LLC or having a partnership, useless, goes out the door. It's crucial that you follow these proper steps. I want to talk a little bit about the third area that we were going to discuss, and that's protecting your business, specifically in regards to insurance. Again, like I said earlier, the law gives a lot of, there's a lot of rules, but there's a lot of exceptions. There's a lot of exclusions, and that can't be any more true than for insurance. We always talk about this. We talk about this for car insurance, homeowners insurance, business insurance. Clients come and tell us, after the fact, well, my agent told me that I have full coverage. Okay. Let us be the first. I'm sure you've heard this before, but let us be one of the first to tell you there's no such thing as full coverage. Yes, they say there's full coverage. You're covered for everything. You're covered. Your car is covered. Your liability is covered. Your home is covered. Your contents are covered. However, the policies are, let's just say 75 to 150 pages. 70% of that are exclusions. Okay, so full coverage is a very misleading term in the world of insurance. And like I said, through these COVID cases, through all our property damage cases, the homeowners claims, the water, fire, burglary, theft, business interruption, COVID, everything that we've been doing over the years, we've seen that people are misinformed, and this is nothing, it's not intentional. It's just people don't know. You have to have the right information, and people say, well, you guys are a law firm, how are you going to talk to me about insurance? Well, we prosecute these cases in terms of protecting your rights, protecting the rights of the homeowner, the business owner. So we know these policies inside out. We know these the situations inside out. We know what kind of problems arise. So when we go ahead and when we take a look at a policy, we can tell you, do you have the right coverages? Yes, you have full coverage, but do you have enough coverage? Do you have the right kind of coverage? Let me give you guys a couple examples. When it comes to, let's say, businesses, right? Okay, you have business insurance, you have liability insurance, which would, let's just say someone walks into your store, trips, slips, falls, whatever the case is, and you have liability coverage, the insurance will cover that. Great. But what if you sustain a loss? What if you sustain a water loss, a fire, a burglary, looting, vandalism, any of these cases? Do you have enough coverage for your own business? Do you have enough coverage for your personal business property? Do you have enough coverage for your business income interruption? So what we've seen in some of these COVID cases, for example, the client has a high limit, multi-million dollars of liability insurance. That's great. That's in case someone sues you, you're covered. But what about your own business and your own personal business property and your business income? We're seeing a lot of people that don't have that. So it's very important. We stress this all the time. We talk about this in our other posts, and we've done this before. We've offered this service to everybody. We've always offered it. We will always continue to offer it. Give us a call. Send us your policies. One of the attorneys will review it and go over what it is that your business, what your business is, what you need versus what you have, what changes you need to do, what limits you need to increase. And again, this isn't only for business. This is for your business. This is for your home. This is for your auto. Anything insurance related, we offer this service to everybody for free. You don't pay for our time. Just you call us, you send us your policies, and we'll review it for you. This is everything that we've talked about until now: the formation, the maintenance, all that stuff is worst case scenario, what happens. But look at this COVID situation. So many people had no clue that they did not have business income interruption. Now, let's put aside the fact that it's a virus. There's exclusions. For example, there's virus exclusions. There's flood exclusions. There's so many exclusions in policies, which if you're not told, and some of them you have the opportunity to buy additional coverage, like for example, terrorism coverage, right? That's excluded. It's an additional rider. It's an additional amendment, addendum to your policy. You have to purchase that, but you're probably not told that, and you probably think you have full coverage. But God forbid something happens, and you're going to insurance company is going to say, nope, you declined terrorism coverage, you declined vandalism, you declined flood. But you don't know this because you're trusting your advisor, your insurance broker, or the insurance company, or the insurance agent, whoever it is, and sometimes you're not getting the right advice. So it's crucial that you do the health check. I would say number one is you need to immediately check your policies, your business policies, your homeowners policies, your car policies, because certain things give you protection, certain things give the other side protection. Yes, by law you're required to give the other side protection and have insurance, but you also have to give yourself the protection that you need in case certain things happen. So with that being said, it's imperative that everybody takes a look at this. And you have to ask questions. If you don't want us to review it, fine, call your agent, call your broker. Say, do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have terrorism coverage? Do I have flood coverage? Do I have business income interruption coverage? Like I said, the exclusions are so much where don't buy the term full coverage. No such thing, right? So this is we can't stress this enough. I'm going to pivot a little bit just to give another example in homeowners issues. I know this is about business, but I want to give homeowner and a car two examples when it comes to car insurance, uninsured motorist. Okay, if you don't have uninsured motorist, you can have liability coverage of maximum millions of dollars of liability coverage. But if you don't have uninsured motorist and somebody who doesn't have insurance or who has low limits causes some damage to you or any of your passengers, that's it. You have no coverage. Uninsured motorist is the most important part of your policy. Make sure you have it. When it comes to homeowners insurance, personal contents policies, your standard homeowner policy doesn't cover specialty items. It doesn't cover, very minimally, it covers jewelry, watches, artwork, rugs. There's limitations on all these. If you have any of these in large quantities, you have to get additional policies. Yes, you have full coverage. Your jewelry is covered, but up to $2,000. Your artwork is covered up to $1,000. It's quote unquote covered, but the limits are comical. So unless you get additional add-on insurance, you're going to face a lot of problems if a loss occurs. And kind of shifting back to business, we're seeing, Eileen knows, Mel knows, Melkon knows, people didn't have business income insurance, business income loss insurance. I mean, you're paying all those premiums, yet if something happens to someone on your property, you're covered. But if something happens to your business and something like COVID, for example, or any other kind of a loss you could have at your business happens, you're not covered. You don't have a business income loss. So this is the health check that we're talking about. This is the check that you guys have to go through. Look at figure out whether you have the right kind of entity. Are you operating the correct entity? A. B, are you keeping proper minutes? Are you keeping proper documents? Are you doing proper inventory? Are you doing proper financials? And third, do you have the right insurance? You have to check. I mean, it's the beginning of the year. We wanted to do this in the beginning of the year to give everyone the opportunity to check their business, to check themselves, to check their, their procedures and policies, and to seek help if they need anything. So, there's so many detailed things that we can get into. Eileen, let's talk a little bit about LLC versus corporation, because we already kind of we addressed that it's not the best idea to have a sole proprietorship. It's not the best idea to have a partnership entity. I think we've kind of narrowed it down to corporate entity versus LLC. I think there's a distinction between the two in terms of typically in California, LLCs are used to hold property versus a business would be under a corporate entity, and other things too. Levels, for example, holding companies. If you have multiple businesses, if you have multiple properties, you would have a holding company and then have sub entities. So let's kind of get into the difference between those two.
Sure. So first of all, if you have, just picking up from where you left off, if you have different businesses or if you have different parcels of property, I would definitely put every single one into a different LLC or a corporation. I wouldn't lump everything together because the failure of one will impose liability on the success of the others. So you want to make sure that it's separated. As far as a corporation versus an LLC is concerned, an LLC does not carry with it the formalities of a corporation, in the sense that you don't need that much documentation as far as maintaining, for example, directors' meetings or certain agreements are concerned. You need to have an operating agreement and you have members. You don't have different levels of documentation to maintain the corporate entity. It's a little bit less formal. And the reason I like LLCs are because, not because they're just less formal, but it's easier to get through the paperwork to maintain the separateness of the entity for liability purposes so that you're not responsible with your personal assets. But at the same time, when it comes to taxes, you're not concerned about whether you're going to be able to maintain your status as an S corporation so that you're not taxed twice at the corporate level and at the individual level, whether you have to be a C corporation for tax purposes. Those concerns are not there. Just like a partnership, whatever losses or profits the LLC has passes through to the individual, and the individual with his or her losses and gains is able to balance that and pay just one tax. But at the same time, you have the protection. When we were talking also about insurance, one thing I want to add on with all these COVID cases that we've been working on, the insurance policies that I've been reviewing, some of them, most of them actually, the ones we're representing at least, do have loss of income coverage. But for example, we have theaters, we have venues that hold public events. And these events and these productions or these movie premieres, red carpet events, they've all been canceled. And these entities have loss of income coverage, but they don't have event cancellation coverage. The ones that have event cancellation coverage, we were able to get their lost income because of the event cancellation. We were able to get that for our clients because COVID does not have a bearing on that. It's the event itself that just got canceled, period. Loss of income is a different issue under COVID. So when you're looking into insurance policies, you have to make sure that the insurance policy covers your type of business and what you do to earn revenue for your business. For example, restaurants. you have to make sure you have spoilage coverage, and not just spoilage resulting from, electricity that went off, or you left the fridge door open when you shut down the restaurant for the night, or for a day or so. You have to make sure it's the proper spoilage coverage so that you're able to recover when you have to shut down under conditions like we've had with COVID. Again, like Harout said, send us your policy. We'll look at it, no charge, but just make sure that you have adequate coverage for the type of entity and the type of business that you have.
Right. For, again, you call us anytime and email us your policies. We'll do this for anybody. Any of our clients, any of our friends, anybody, whoever's listening, just give us a call, and we'll do that for you. Melkon, let's talk a little bit more about asset protection, kind of, the individual personal assets. How those are different than corporate assets, and what we can do to make sure that our personal assets are not subject to any of the business problems that may arise by keeping the proper corporate formalities.
Yeah, Harout. So as far as assets go, one of the problems that people run into, especially if they're running a small business, and small business, when we're talking about a small business, we're talking about a single or a couple of owners who operate, on a local basis, and they're doing pretty well for themselves. One of the problems that people have is they start commingling funds, meaning they start spending business money on their personal life, or personal money on their business without keeping a proper record of that. And they start transferring money from one account to the other and back and forth. I'm going to pay my mortgage. I'm a little short. I'll just transfer it from my business account. It's all connected, and I'll pay my mortgage. And then the next week I need something from my business. I'll draw it from my savings account without any paperwork. So this commingling, and this is a legal term, it's that's used. Often it leads to something that is called piercing the corporate shield, meaning you are creating a situation where, although you have a corporation that you open properly to protect your personal assets, and you have your home and your personal business, your personal contents, when you start mixing them together, especially financially, sometimes what the law will do is treat them as one and the same. And if somebody sues you and they'll come after your business, let's say, and they'll say, you breached a contract in business, or somebody sues you, an employee sues you for harassment or something, and your business can go out of business. You can be insolvent, and as a result of this litigation, you can go out of business. And you're like, you know what, that's fine. I'll just close this business down and I'll move on and I'll continue with my life. I'll go open another business. If there is an aggressive or a smart litigator on the other side, they're going to say, well, wait a minute. Okay, maybe he closed the business down and he's bankrupt and there's no money there. But what if he was paying his mortgage out of his business? What if he was bought a boat from it with his business money? What happens with that? Even though they're your personal assets, if you bought them with your business cash, then they could technically, somebody can make the argument that these are also business assets, so therefore they can attach it and come after you for that. You have to be very, very careful when you start spending money on things. Again, talking to your attorney or accountant will help you keep a clear line between your personal property, your contents, and your personal assets and your business assets. Sometimes you do one or the other. You may want to pay for something from one account versus the other for tax purposes. That's all fine. As long as you're not mixing your money, you should be doing okay. All right. One other thing I want to touch on, a different subject is that we didn't cover, is employment issues. As you're doing your health check, look at your employment contracts if you have any. Look at how your employees are categorized, whether they're W-2s, meaning they're salaried employees or hourly employees, versus if they are considered independent contractors, 1099 employees. A lot of businesses try to get away with 1099ing their employees and saying, oh, they're an independent contractor. I'll just cut them a check. I won't pay payroll taxes. They'll deal with their own taxes and everybody saves money. The problem is the law now is so strict on who you can treat as an independent contractor that if you're doing it wrong, it could come back and haunt you later on. You can be responsible for penalties. You can be responsible for interest, especially if that contractor, if that independent contractor goes out on a job, gets injured, especially with, we see this a lot with building contractors. They'll have a drywall guy working for them for years, but they've been 1099ing him, saying he's an independent contractor. The guy goes out on a job site, gets injured, comes back and says, you know, hey boss, I want to get paid. I got injured. And you're going to say, well, sorry, you're 1099. You're on your own. They're going to find that lawyer who's going to come and sue you. Now you're going to have the labor board after you. You're going to have workers' compensation board after you, trying to get back all those dollars. And they're going to audit your business. And they're going to go after every employee you've had, every 1099 that you've issued to make sure whether it was proper or not. You got to be really careful with these things. Not to mention your different insurance availabilities out there. Workers' compensation is one type of insurance. EPLI is another type of insurance. That's when you have an actual employee who has some kind of grievance against you. That for you to be covered for that grievance, it's not covered under your general liability insurance. So yeah, that's a completely separate thing. So make sure that you are, as you look at your finances, as you look at your operations, look at your people. Always look at your people. You want to make sure they're the right people, they're trusted. You know, sometimes we treat employees like family, and we start ignoring certain formal operational maintenance. So what happens is we're not tracking their lunch hours, we're not tracking their breaks because, you know, oh, it's this person, she's been working here or he's been working here for a while and I trust them. Don't do that. Do things right. You know, make sure you can trust an employee, you can trust individuals, but run your business as a good ship, you know, everything in order. And at the end of the day, you're trying to protect your baby. Your business is like your baby. You're trying to make sure that it grows, it thrives. Any little snag can give you a setback. So keep all these things in mind.
I want to pick up on the tail end of what you just said about commingling. In the context of a business and bankruptcy as well, what we've been seeing lately is if you commingle your assets, your personal assets with your corporate assets, and then you turn around and, you know, your business isn't doing well, whether it's COVID-19 or another reason, and you decide to put your business into bankruptcy. If you've commingled your assets and if you haven't maintained the proper records, then what's happening is in the bankruptcy court, the United States trustee is coming after the individual and piercing the corporate veil through the bankruptcy system, which is dragging the individual and the individual's assets in there. And that's not a position you want to be in. The worst place to be in is in a corporate bankruptcy with your personal assets. So that's why it's so important.
Absolutely.
To keep the proper documentation and definitely not commingle anything at all. Make sure you pay your house mortgage with your personal check and your business mortgage or your business expenses with your business check.
I think it's you know, the issues that we've been discussing, you know, just leads to one thing that I think everybody should consider. Everyone should have a yearly budget to make sure that they're operating properly. Okay. You know, every business has a budget. You know, everyone knows, you know, you set a budget, you have projections, you have, you know, you compare it to prior years. You have to set aside a small amount of money to make sure that you're doing things properly. This is, you spend a little bit money in the beginning and then you save a lot of money in the end. This is the way that it works. Otherwise, like Eileen and Melkon talked about the pitfalls, those are going to cost you tenfold, 20-fold to try to get out of a mess, which could have been easily avoided by a certain, you know, minutes or you know, some kind of a filing or you know, a very simple thing could fix a lot of big problems. Another thing to add on to agreements, like Melkon was saying, with employees and whatnot, you have to check your agreements with your vendors. It's very important to have your, especially vendors that you operate on with credit, especially vendors who ask you to sign invoices. We recently had some problems with a certain kind of a business where invoices were signed, and that bound the business to a very, very large liability, just because a product was delivered and an employee signed an invoice, and that resulted in a huge dispute. And because there was that signature on that invoice, the business was held liable. It was a big, big deal. So you also have to not only internally make sure everything is operating externally as well. Make sure your agreements with your vendors are good. Your agreements with suppliers are good, whatever the case is. However, whatever your business requires. So all these things are very important for businesses to do on a yearly basis. And it's just, you don't just do it once and say, okay, fine, we're good. We did it. We're fine. We're good. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it at least once a year, at least, if not twice. So with that being said, let's, anything else to add, Eileen or Melkon, at this time, before I get to a couple questions?
I think maybe we should start with the questions. I'm seeing some questions coming through.
Right. So we have a question. Someone asked, if you own properties which get used for short-term rentals, should you form LLCs? Should the properties be held under LLCs?
Can I take that one, Harout?
Sure.
We have a case like that right now. Somebody that owns a property that they contracted out with an Airbnb, and a nice condominium. Husband and wife own it. They gave it to Airbnb. Airbnb leased it out to someone. Next thing you know, some damage happened at the property. That apartment building had some damage, that condominium, and the damage spread throughout the building. And guess who's liable? The husband and wife who owned the condominium. Their insurance company didn't cover them. They said, "Oh, you're running a business, so we're not going to cover your insurance." And Airbnb, who's kind of on the hook, is not solely responsible, because there was an issue between the agreement that the husband and wife signed when they purchased the property. So definitely, had they had an LLC, some kind of corporation that they held that property under, they could have just folded it and walked away and not risked their home, their personal assets, their personal bank accounts. All of that right now is in the middle of this litigation that we're trying to help them out with.
I think it's fair to say that properties generally, again, this is all general. Like I said, everything is subjective. Every individual is different. But the general rule of thumb is that if you're holding a property, you should hold it under an LLC. And if you're running a business, you should be running it under a corporate entity. Now, S corp, C corp, that depends. Those are tax issues, which your attorney and your tax CPA need to consult on. But it's imperative that you do it that way.
And you notice that we're using corporation and LLC interchangeably, and everybody does that. But when you're actually forming the entity, you'll hear a lot of people saying a corporate entity. An LLC is the same type of an entity. So, it's just one word over another. Don't worry about it. But sometimes it'll be a corporation. Sometimes it'll be an LLC.
Okay. Another question, I think we covered this, but let's kind of quickly address it. Are keeping corporate minutes important? I think, Mel, you discussed this. It's very important. Technically any significant transaction that occurs during the year has to be done through proper meeting and minutes. So if the corporation is going to purchase a property, you have to have legally, from a legal standpoint, you have to have a meeting. And again, it kind of sounds comical because some people say, "Oh, well, I'm by myself. What do you mean I'm going to have a meeting?" Or it's me and my wife. Why am I going to have a meeting? Well, from a legal standpoint, you do. You have to have that meeting. You have to document you had the meeting. You have to document, who was present. You have to document the issue that, okay, for the benefit of the business is going to purchase a property. We agree, I agree, blah, 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 whatever the case is. You sign, you date, you move on. You have to buy equipment for your business, expensive equipment, business equipment. Again, significant amount of monies that are going to be spent need to be done properly through proper meetings and minutes. And this is obviously aside from your annual directors and shareholder meetings that you need to have and you need to document. So yes, minutes are very important. They're critical, they're crucial, because otherwise, technically, you can't act. Again, it goes back into piercing the corporate veil. You can't act on your own and then try to hide behind the corporate protection if you're not doing these things properly. So those are the reasons why. We got another question about.
I got one texted to me privately.
Okay.
In a group that I'm in, and they're asking if you can have a single individual have a corporation or an LLC. And the answer is yes. In California, you can have a one-person LLC, just a single person, and you can have just a single person corporation. You don't have to have more than one person. So, and we can formulate the company or the entity to reflect that and do the minutes accordingly so that it doesn't look silly, like you're sitting by yourself and trying to have a meeting with someone when it's just you. There are documents that we can put together to reflect that.
Right.
Can I add something here? A lot of times people don't know, when we talk about protecting yourselves and creating corporations or LLCs, under the law, and a few years back, the U.S. Supreme Court decided this. Corporations, companies are considered independent. They're considered a person under the law. So when you're creating this thing, you're creating another person who's responsible for those operations. You're removing yourself out of it. So think about it that way. So yes, a single person, just like Eileen said, you can form a corporation, you can form an LLC, because you're essentially creating a new entity that's handling that operation. And you're pulling yourself, your personal liability out of it.
Right. And that's why when you're a single person, it's very important to maintain the documentation, because you're controlling that entity. So if something goes wrong, it's very common for somebody to try to pierce the corporate veil of a single member LLC or a single member company, because it's totally under your control. So you have to maintain the formalities.
Right. So again, I think, well, hold on, let's get to this other question about insurance, basically talking about limits. What limits should we be getting to operate the business? Well, this is a very, again, this is a very subjective question. It all matters. It depends on what kind of a business you're operating. Are you operating out of an office? Are you a retail store? Are you a repair shop? Auto repair shop? All these things make a big difference in terms of your exposure. If you're just yourself, one or two people in an office building, you're not going to need $5 million of umbrella coverage for a slip and fall. But if you're, let's say, an auto repair center, or if you're a construction company, or if you're, a grocery store, or whatever else that you may be, where there's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of high traffic, then you're going to need as much insurance as possible. And one thing that's very people don't understand, well, not that they don't understand, but they don't know. They think that if they have or if they want high limits of coverage, and this goes for business, home, and auto, that their premiums are going to be so much more. it's really not. The basic coverage that you get is, let's just say you get $1 million of coverage for liability. You pay for the premium. Adding on another $1 million umbrella or $5 million umbrella is really not that much more money. It's worth asking your agent or your broker to get a quote. Same goes for, by the way, we didn't talk about this. This is something that's very important, especially if you're in California. Earthquake insurance. Your insurance, your business insurance, your homeowner's insurance does not cover you for earthquakes. You have to buy a separate property and a separate policy, earthquake policy. That especially goes for those who hold real estate. If you have real estate investments, if you have apartment buildings, if you have shopping centers, whatever the case is, your regular insurance policy does not cover you for earthquake. You have to buy additional earthquake policy. That's especially in California, it's very necessary. Let me see what else is going on here. Anything else to add, Eileen or Miko?
I have a question about COVID-19, even though we didn't really address it, but as far as the status of the COVID-19 litigation cases are concerned, I can briefly say that we have filed lawsuits. We represent, as Miko said earlier, Melkon said earlier, several hundred COVID-19 cases and businesses who've suffered loss of income. We're reviewing policies, but again, it has to be a business owner's policy where there is loss of income coverage, not just liability insurance policy. So if you just have liability coverage, and we'd be more than happy to look at it, then I'm sorry, there's no coverage.
Right. We are still doing this claims. Obviously, COVID is still ongoing. The businesses are still closed. The businesses are still impacted. And here's another misconception that we're seeing. People who kept their businesses open doesn't mean that they can't make a claim. The whole concept of this is business interruption, loss of income. So hypothetically speaking, let's say your business grossed $500,000 in 2019, and in 2020 you grossed $100,000. There's a significant decrease in business there. So your business doesn't have to be shut down. Your doors don't have to be closed, but because of all these stay-at-home orders and all these other orders that came down since from March until now, everyone's business has suffered, and you can still go ahead and make that claim. And in terms of the litigation, Eileen, I think this is going on nationwide. There's a lot of cases that are being filed almost in every state. And there's rulings coming down now with different findings, different rulings. Some are in favor of the insured, some are in favor of the insurance company. So there hasn't been such anything in California just yet, but we expect that to happen. And also there's another issue of government, potential government intervention, government bailouts for the insurance companies. So there's so many things pending right now. But if you don't make the claim, then obviously you're not gonna either reap the benefits or not. If you don't make a claim, you can't. You don't want to make it down the road when it's too late. If you're gonna make a claim, you should do it now. You should do it sooner rather than later.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I guess another misperception that's happening is we have some individuals or businesses rather who've made the claims and then they're deciding not to move forward with litigation. And that's a misperception as well, because once you've made the claim, the next logical step is to proceed forward with litigation so that you can recover. It's not going to impact your policy any more than the claim that you've already made. And that's a misperception that we're getting. So everybody should move forward with litigation because we are very hopeful that at the end of the tunnel, there is recovery.
Most definitely. Most definitely. It's just horrible what's been going on. But the goal is to
Right.
to make sure that and again, another problem that we're seeing that goes back to the maintenance that Nico was talking about is, some records that were not kept properly, financial records that weren't in order, inventory that wasn't done properly. So, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's very important that you get these things checked out by a professional who knows what they're doing, preferably a law firm. CPAs are good. CPA, your CPA and your accountant should be working with your law firm collectively to make sure to give you the best outcome. If that's the right way of doing it. Some CPAs can file legal stuff. Some law firms can give you some tax advice, but the right way to do it is to make sure that you have both those professionals on your side, helping you make the right decisions.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting here, I'm thinking all these different claims and problems that we've handled over those last few months, and along with COVID cases, inventory and proper record maintenance, and to be able to properly access your records and data is also very important. Sometimes you're running these operations and you have these computer systems that are keeping your records, and they get antiquated, they get old, and you're running your business, you don't pay any attention to it, and the time comes when you need to go back and access old data or old records, and they're not as clear, or they're not accessible, or you've switched systems and now you can no longer go back to something that you even a few months back, and it becomes very hard to present the claim, to present the evidence for you to be able to collect from the insurance company. So as you're doing as we are all, a lot of us are working from home and becoming very dependent on technology, make sure that your IT guy is in the loop as well as you do your annual health check. Look at your systems, your servers. If you have things on the cloud, wherever you maintain and keep your records, make sure they're accessible, they're clean, and you can get them if you need them. What else, Harout? I think you're unmuted. You're muted, I should say.
You're still muted.
I'm sorry. Okay. I think it's. I think we've covered I think we've covered a lot. I think there's a lot of, as you guys can see, there's a lot of issues that come up. So we have to you have to do that. This is very important to do this thing, to do these things the right way, to do your checkups the right way. There's a lot of like I said, there's a lot of details that are that apply to some people that won't apply to others. You guys need to call us and individually set up times. Again, like I said, for the initial policy checks, we don't charge. Initial consultations, we don't charge until we're retained. Then we can discuss that. But as far as the first discussions that we have, we do that as a courtesy for everybody. So just want to wish everybody a prosperous 2021. Hopefully some much better than 2020. I hope that things change quickly and everyone gets back to normal business. Eileen, Miko?
Stay safe, everyone, and never repeat 2020. Let's move forward with the new year.
Right.
Yeah, the last thing I'll leave you with is this. We often tell our clients that, we hope you don't need us, but if you need us, we're here. So call us. Especially, look, most people contact their attorneys when something bad happens. Right. Call your attorney before something bad happens. You'll avoid a lot of the bad coming at you. So call us now. We'll strategize. We'll plan, and if something does happen, at least you go in there with with full knowledge and awareness of what to expect. So,
And I think we typed out our number, but it's 877-554-2226. Our website is keosianlaw.com, and all our social media platforms are at Keosian Law. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just follow us. We're going to do a lot more of these updates. We're going to do a lot of different things and different informative posts. So follow us, and we wish everybody a wonderful 2021. Call us if you need anything. Thank you very much, everybody.
thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.